Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so you friends see it. Thank you.
Tucker dismantles Idiot Lib guest who says men are toxic and it makes them terrorists. Liberals like to think that they are intellectuals, but often their thinking makes zero sense. They also love to paint conservatives as people who ignore facts, and yet liberals are usually the ones making completely baseless comments that have little or no connection to reality. In a truly strange example of this, a feminist woman came on Tucker Carlson's show on Fox News and argued with a straight face that women are objectively better than men. Thankfully, Tucker set her straight about how bigoted that view is. The guest, a magazine publisher named Cathy Arau, stated to Carlson, "Women are better, unfortunately. We are not the murderers of our society. We are not committing the crimes. We commit less than 20% of the crimes. So actually, men are not as good as women. We are actually better. We're safer." Tucker answered, tripping her up with her own dumb liberal ideas, "But what about men who transition to women? So if a man says if he's got a terrible case of toxic masculinity, he's on his deathbed dying from toxic masculinity?" She replied, "Right." Carlson then asked, "And he says, bam, I'm a woman now, does it cure him?" Cathy responded, "Well, I would hope so. He would be the better gender, so I hope so." Tucker later inquired, "So if there's toxic masculinity, that suggests the polar, right, toxic femininity. What would that look like? How prevalent is that?" Cathy answered, "Well, sugar, spice and everything nice, that's what it's like to be a girl. But boys will be boys, and that's what we're raising. We're raising boys to think they should be more powerful and stronger. Maybe we're just not raising them right. Why are women supposed to be nonviolent?" Carlson then asked, "Is there such a thing as toxic femininity?" Cathy replied, "No, we do no wrong. Women do no wrong. Do you think this woman is clearly sexist?" Rush makes huge prediction about 2020, smacks down Lib report that Trump is losing his base. Republican President Donald Trump has a rock-solid base that has been supporting him through thick and thin this year, despite the attempts by the liberal-biased media and Democrat and establishment Republican politicians alike to defame him. These anti-Trump forces got some encouragement recently when two Democrats were elected governor, in Virginia and New Jersey. In addition, a transgender person was voted into the Virginia state legislature, a first in this country. Liberals have been claiming that this very small election somehow shows that people are turning against President Trump. Thankfully, radio legend Rush Limbaugh was quick to point out how wrong they are. He also made a very bold prediction about how Trump would do if he ran again. Stated Limbaugh on his show, "The new media narrative is that the Republicans are finished, that the Virginia vote means everybody's tired of Trump, fed up with Trump, embarrassed by Trump, and it's over." And it doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean anything. He stated that Virginia does not translate to other states. Rush went on, "And yet the drive-bys, all they can talk about is the wave of resistance against Trump that swept so many Democrats into office. A virtual tsunami." Limbaugh countered this by citing a poll that 82% of people who voted for Trump in 2016 would do so again today. He went on, "This is why all of the polls show that Trump would win if the election were held today. But what these two numbers mean in the hypothetical election that would happen today, Trump would win by a wider margin nationwide if the election were held today. Do you think Rush is right?" Hillary Clinton publishes a letter to her teenage self, "Get ready to laugh." Hillary Clinton, once a presidential candidate, is now spending her time writing love letters to herself for Teen Vogue magazine. The self-published article is called "Hillary Clinton's Letter to Her Teenage Self is So Powerful." She described all the powerful women she saw when she first arrived in college. This contradicts her narrative that men are oppressing women, but there you go. When you first arrived on campus, you found yourself surrounded by brilliant, accomplished women. They were fluent in other languages. They had lived abroad. They had already read half the books on the syllabus, she wrote. That was intimidating, so intimidating, in fact, that you called your parents and told them you didn't belong at Wellesley after all, and you needed to come home. Your dad, who'd never really wanted you to go so far away for school in the first place, was more than ready to welcome you back. But your mother was not about to let that happen. She said you had to be brave, you had to stick it out. And you had the good sense not to argue, which turned out to be one of the best decisions you ever made, she wrote. She forgot to warn herself of her husband cheating on her and her humiliating loss to Donald Trump. Down the road, your tall, handsome boyfriend who's crazy about politics will ask you to move to Arkansas with him. It will be a pretty outlandish suggestion. In fact, your friend Sarah will spend the entire drive to Little Rock trying to talk you out of it, but your heart will steer you right, she wrote. MSNBC tries to get Latino Trump supporters to apologize for their vote. It backfires in epic way. A year after President Trump was elected, MSNBC's Jacob Arau decided to interview Latinos who voted for Donald Trump to see if they regretted their decision. He must have regretted his decision. Liberals always get angry when a minority doesn't act the way they feel they should act. Oftentimes, minorities get attacked the most viciously by liberals when they choose to be conservative. Are you still happy with the way that you voted and the way that he's doing? Arau asked a Latino radio host. Yes, especially in the economy. We are growing at 3.1%, he responded. What surprised me most when I was here last time, so many of your listeners called in and said to me, it doesn't matter that I'm Latino. It doesn't matter that Donald Trump has insulted so many members of my race. I want to know, a year later, do people out there, do your listeners feel the same way? Asked Arau. I feel way better with this president than before he was president. I will vote for him again, said one Latino listener. I voted for Donald Trump, and at this point in my life I am not sorry. I am very proud of Donald Trump to be my president, said a female Latino listener. CNN host asks what does it matter if they are biased in shocking rant. CNN used to deny that they bias no matter how glaringly obvious it was. Now, CNN host John King is arguing that it doesn't matter if they are biased. It might be small, but we are making some progress. King was responding to a speech made by Steve Bannon calling out the media for being biased against Roy Moore. The Bezos Amazon Washington Post that dropped that dime on Donald Trump, is the same Bezos Amazon Washington Post that dropped the dime this afternoon on Judge Roy Moore. Now is that a coincidence? That's what I mean when I say opposition party, right? It's purely part of the apparatus of the Democratic Party. They don't make any bones about it. By the way, I don't mind it. I'll call them out every day, said Bannon. King responded. I want to talk about the politics of that later, but right there. What does it matter? The Access Hollywood tape, he's talking about the Washington Post. That was Donald Trump, no one denies that was Donald Trump, said King. Donald Trump on that tape was talking about conduct that as if it happened felony sexual assault. What does it matter, who records you robbing the bank whether liberal or conservative, an old person or a young person, gets that video and it's still you. In the case of this story, these women are quoted by name. What is that? Said King. Obviously if it matters. If you hate someone you will look at a situation in the worst way possible. If you like someone you will see it in the best way. Trump's tape. Friends see it as a man being braggadocious, enemies see it as him admitting to sexual assault, Which isn't true.